Hey there, it's Anna here on 89.5 The Wave, and I have the honor and privilege to introduce you to Erica Schroeder. Now, you may know Erica's voice, or if you don't, you may know her by a different name, which we will talk about. She has been in many things. She's been in Pokemon, she's been in Yu-Gi-Oh!, she's been in One Piece. This woman is amazing. She is such a big influence, at least to me, in the anime world and voiceover. And I am very privileged to have her with me today. Erica, thank you so much again.
Of course. Thanks for having me, Anna.
So, again, thank you so much for taking your time out of your busy day. And as I mentioned, you go under a different name at times for certain animes.
Correct. That's correct. Yes, I had an alias of Bella Hudson. If you'd be interested in knowing the origin of that alias, I can tell you.
Oh, I would. Please do.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever been asked that before, but basically I was working theatrically and with, on camera and also in VO, and my agents had sort of suggested I use a different name. I don't know why, but I was like, sure, sounds like a great idea. And I came up with the name Bella Hudson because my sister's name is Danielle.
Oh, no
and
kidding.
I call her Daniela. Yeah, I call her Daniela Bella. I've always called her that. We're only 15 months apart, and she's older than me, and I love her very much. And then at the time that my career was, really taking off and starting, she had her firstborn, her daughter, and she named her Hudson after the Hudson River, which we grew up near and loved and canoed on and did lots of amazing things around. So I chose that name as an homage, put together, honoring my sister and her daughter. And so that became Bella Hudson. And then years later, I was like, it's also a racehorse.
It is!
Which is very funny, yeah.
That is adorable. Oh my gosh. That story is so cute. Now, I did mention in your little introduction that you are known for being in Yu-Gi-Oh!, being in Pokemon, and also she's also known for being in Sonic. If you were growing up in the middle of the road time for Sonic around 06 and other games. So you, Erica, are known for Akiza from Yu-Gi-Oh!, Blaze the Cat, Emma Frost in Astonishing X-Men. I gotta ask, what is it like to be known for these strong female characters, to be this big influence for these, frankly, spunky characters?
It's a great question. It's great. It's awesome. I mean, it's wonderful that people are writing strong women characters, and it's wonderful to be asked to portray them. And it's also interesting to play characters that challenge authority, characters that challenge, ways that, women are supposed to be or not supposed to be, and also women that are morally ambiguous, too. I mean, Emma Frost, what exactly are her motivations all the time? And when is she a good guy, when is she not? And so I love characters that have multi-layers to them. I mean, Akiza had a lot of layers to her as well. So, yeah, I mean, I love playing strong female characters, and maybe if we have time later on in the interview, we can talk about a strong female character that I'm portraying currently.
Ooh, foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. So you're known for all these strong women, these strong characters, not just women. You do play a couple of strong male characters as well, which we may or may not get into later in the interview. But are there roles that you personally like that are maybe less well known to the public?
There's always roles like that. You know what I mean? Ones that you love, and people often associate you with a certain sound or a certain character, a certain voice. But I love to transform. I'm like, I don't know, if I was to compare myself to someone on film, it would be like Philip Seymour Hoffman. It's you're like, is that him? I'm not sure. Or Gary Oldman. And my favorite thing to do is to transform. There's a couple of us in New York that are known for that, and therefore we do a lot of walla, extra work on a lot of shows where they'll ask you to come in for an hour and play like 6 people, boom, boom, boom. I love doing work like that. I love transforming. So I love playing like zombies and and creatures. I love playing creatures. I play a lot of creatures and different things, video games and things like that. So one of the characters that I love to play that is like that was Squonk from season 7 of Winx Club, which was just so cute. He was Aisha's fairy animal,
Oh.
and yeah, I just love to portray him. He's just adorable, and I love the character description. He gets so emotional, his eyes well up with tears, and then he cries like fountains of tears that can fill up a whole room and like drown people if you don't open the door.
Oh my
But
gosh.
he's just a fun character to play, and I love the voice. And I also enjoyed playing, this was like way back in the day, but Hildegard Valentine in, oh my gosh, I'm forgetting the name of the video game. But anyhow, we'll have to insert that later. Shadow Hearts for a New World, I think.
There you go.
And she was like 3 different characters within that. So she got to transform. She had different forms of herself. So I enjoyed kind of finding the different sides of her. I thought that was an interesting concept. And then I love to play older women. I love to play evil women.
Ooh.
So it's just fun. I mean, why not, right? And so there was a character called the Witch from an animated film, a Russian film that was beautifully done, beautifully animated, called Little Long Nose. And that's one of my favorite roles I've ever done. And I don't know that a lot of people have seen it. Occasionally I'll bring the DVD to a convention and just show people little clips from it, just because it's such an interesting piece. And I really enjoyed playing that role. Yeah, great question.
Thank you. So if you had to pick a creature or a character that you maybe haven't portrayed, what kind of a creature would you like to try?
Gosh, I don't know. I'm just trying to think of an animal. I mean, because Pokemon are all inspired by animals. So it's funny because, like, oftentimes if there's a new bird Pokemon, they will be like, Erica, you will play this new bird Pokemon, because I'm known for playing birds. And they're all based on, if you do great impersonation of the real animal, if you can portray the real animal, you might get, handed a beautiful role. Sometimes you have to audition for them, and sometimes they're handed to you, depending on how big the role is and things like that. As far as what I haven't played that I want to portray as a creature that doesn't speak. I don't know if they ever did like a new video game of the Gremlins.
Ooh.
That would be very exciting.
You could pull off a very evil, like mischievous gremlin from your work. Okay, you almost gave me a heart attack there.
Spoke a little bit even. Yeah, that would be fun.
Oh my gosh. So, speaking of Pokemon, how is it voicing the Pokemon you do, the several bird Pokemon, the all kinds of frankly adorable Pokemon, as opposed to some of the human characters you've done, like Nurse Joy, Kenny, Bianca, Stephen Land, all these characters, and then you have like 20, 30 plus Pokemon under your belt. I mean, what is the feeling, the differences between doing those types of characters?
That's an interesting question. It is very different. It's very different. And then it's also the same. The thing that's the same about it is you are portraying an intention. You are portraying words. People don't know this, but we know what the Pokemon is saying. If we don't know exactly what they're saying, we know the feeling that they're feeling, and but it's almost like you give yourself words. If Pancham is saying "I love you," he only has the words Pancham to say that, but I know that's what I'm saying when I'm actually voicing it. So it's actually, I think some people think that you're just randomly pulling the voice or something from different things, but we actually go through the entire script from beginning to end, cue to cue, moment to moment, and fill in what that Pokemon is expressing at that moment. And it's really fun and freeing because I don't have to look at the script if I don't want to, because the director, currently Lisa Ortiz, who's awesome, we love working together.
Oh my gosh, really?
Will just guide me through, moment to moment of what's happening. And so if I want to look at the script and see also what is written there, I can. And if she wants to just guide me through the episode, through her eyes, and and through her looking at the script, we can do that too. Plus, what we see on the screen is also another piece of information that you have to, of course, take into account in a big way, in terms of the flap of the character. That's the character's movement of their mouth. Some Pokemon, you're more about the flap, and some it's like, who cares? In the original language in Japanese, they frequently do not pay attention to the flap at all. In fact, actually, I should say it's prelay there, so it's recorded first and then animated after. So, but interestingly enough, the animators don't pay attention to what the actor did. They just kind of do their own thing. But in the English language, we're more cognizant of that usually, and we're more we try and be a little bit more true to it. But there are characters that you can be more free with the flap, and the flap doesn't really matter. It's kind of a instance by instance kind of thing. And as far as playing the human characters, they're a blast. And sometimes I take a moment to warm up into speaking English after I've just done a bunch of sounds for a long period of time. But Bianca was a ridiculous amount of fun. I loved her. She's so quirky and hyper and energetic and bizarre, and I see myself that way in a lot of ways.
Aww.
I don't need to, fit in. What I don't ever want to do is make someone feel uncomfortable. That is something I do not like to do. But at the same regard, I don't need to enter a room and feel like I belong there. I don't always feel like I belong there. Sometimes it takes me a while in a big group of people. But I try to just be true to myself, and I think that's Bianca. She's just happy-go-lucky and true to herself, and sometimes just a little strange.
Hey, strange is a good thing.
Yeah.
Whoever wants to be boring.
I don't know. Certainly not why we become actors.
Oh, exactly. Speaking of those energetic, excitable, and, maybe a little grumpy at times character, is there a character that you have portrayed, aside from the witch, which you did mention earlier, that you personally maybe related to or just like to play in general?
Definitely Bianca. Definitely relate to her. I related to Luffy a lot too, actually, because I am really goofy. My sense of humor is really goofy. Not to say that I don't love wit. I love a witty person, but I'm not acerbic, and I'm not dark, and I'm not trying to humiliate anyone at any point in time. I'm pretty much what you see is what you get. I love being joyful. I love being adventurous. And I feel like that's a lot of what Luffy is about, too, and just laughing. I love to laugh, and I love to have a great time and explore and enjoy myself. So, and his sense of humor was very much in line with mine in that way, that a lot of the characters I portrayed on stage as well are bigger or larger-than-life characters. I like to make extreme choices when I can, when it's appropriate in that piece. Every piece that you're given is completely different. Different producer, different director, different writer, different tone, different energy, different. The character has a different background, different emotional life, and every piece has its own personal style, and you have to walk in there and be willing to just let go. Have an idea, have a very specific idea, but if need be, let go of that idea and go with, the direction that you're given, and go in that headspace of the energy of that piece, if that makes any sense.
Oh, yeah, definitely it does.
I like to go on tangents, just so you know.
Tangents are fine. We've got all the time in the world. So, speaking of Luffy, how do you prepare for a male role like Luffy? I mean, you say it's pretty easy to get into his character because you can relate a lot to him, but is it any different than slipping into Bianca or Kenny or any other characters?
It's similar in a lot of ways. The only ways that are different, and it's interesting because you can sort of interpret that, break that question down in a lot of different ways, whereas, how do you discover being male? the first time that you try that out, oh, I'm male today. What does that mean? How does that feel? It's always going to be different for each character, but you do have to put your headspace in the mental your mental headspace in. I'm male. I'm thinking male. I'm coming from a different point of view. Then you have to figure out how to adjust the voice accordingly. And everyone has different ways they do it. There's a lot of different things I think about when I'm creating the voice of a young boy or a boy in general. One of them is texture. It doesn't necessarily mean if you put texture on a voice, it automatically becomes male. Because I could be an older woman anytime I want, and I'm putting texture on my voice, but it's a different kind. It's a totally different transformation. And then there's also characters like, Bart Simpson, that are male characters that have no texture at all. And she's just doing it, based on kind of like, it's the attitude of the boy behind it. And she's also forcing the voice more forward.
That's really good.
And not putting breath on it. She's taking away the breath. I tell people sometimes when they're trying to do it, I'm like, sometimes if you're playing a character that's really forward and very loud and has a lot of tone, you're actually holding your breath more. You're not releasing the air. Whereas if I'm playing somebody like Nurse Joy, I'm going to be like, I'm going to have a lot of breath on there because that's important. So, so first you figure out how I become male. How does my voice do that? How do I do it mentally? And then as far as preparing, it's just sort of something that I can, flip in and out of quite easily. As far as longevity, with playing characters like that and doing them for a long period of time, over an extended period of time, like a few years, but also in the booth for 3 hours at a time and maintaining that voice, not dropping it, and also not losing the voice, that's a process when you're first starting because it's a muscle. It's a muscle. You're using a different muscle. You're using a different part of your voice, and you're going to feel it. You're going to feel a little bit of wear and tear. You're going to feel a little bit of pain. Shouldn't be feeling too much pain, but if you do, you have to self-check, and understand, why am I feeling this pain? How do I make it less? And how do I not damage my cords? And that's a learning process for every voice actor, for every actor. In general, how do I go to the extreme without hurting myself? And I, over the years, have developed a couple of different things to self-check. But one of them is to never, 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 this is so important, don't ever take ibuprofen or any sort of painkiller. Whether you have a sore wrist or an arm or anything, never take it before you go in the recording booth because it thins the blood and therefore makes you more susceptible to vocal damage. It's called like a varix or a burst blood vessel in your throat. It makes you more vulnerable to that for that reason, and it makes you more vulnerable because you can't feel your limits. If you can't feel pain, you can't feel your limits. There's some superhero like that. I can't think of who it is.
Superman, Kryptonite?
So I say never take pain medicine before you're going to work. If you do have some sort of issue with pain, you take it after, and that actually will help your cords not, swell as much. And then the other trick I've learned is to slide up and down the scale, musical scale, between cues, not between every cue, because you would drive the director in the end. But every couple of cues, I'll go, and I'll make sure that I can get the least amount of air on my cords as possible. If I can connect them in the right way, first of all, I'm relaxing them, I'm smoothing them out, and if there's breaks in the voice, like that kind of stuff, then you're like, I really should stop now. It's not always an option because you may be scheduled for 3.5 and you're kind of like done at 2.5. But there's ways to self-check and to self-preserve and make sure you don't go overboard. But so yes, that was like the second half of the question of how to prepare for a male character, how to maintain a male character.
So with it's like with any muscle, any workout, anything, that you have to make sure you don't go over your limit, especially if it's your first time. You could damage in this case, your vocal cords, whatever part of your body, I hope it's your vocal cords, that you're using to portray that character, you want to make sure you don't overdo it. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, you have to just be careful because you can permanently damage your cords. People like Julie Andrews, she had to have surgery. So, yeah, you have to take it seriously, your vocal health. You have to take your vocal health very seriously. This is a funny story if we have time.
Sure, go ahead.
I was doing a musical called Shout the Mod Musical.
Oh.
And I had my second callback for the show, maybe my third, I can't remember. The day after, I think the day after my last record for Luffy. And I screamed a lot. I mean, everybody knows I yelled a lot, because he yells a lot. And that was a vocally strenuous role. And I was singing Shirley Bassey song from Goldfinger.
Ooh, nice.
It was a 1960s review of English women, and there's a cast recording of it that's really funny. But we got to the last note in the audition. I had to learn the song and sing it for everybody. There was like a panel of people behind the table, maybe 8 of them. And when I got to the last note, I went, "He loves God," and this voice that came out was like Luffy.
Oh no!
It was just like God. It was like hysterically funny to me, but they're all thinking, that is so strange. Like, what is she doing? And I finished singing it, and I go, "Hey, I'm really sorry. It was kind of like my cartoon character. They came out there. I just finished the last record yesterday, but, in about a month or so, that will go away. But vocally, that's where he yelled. Like, that's right in his belt zone. It's the same as this in this role in this song." And they were, hysterical. They thought it was the funniest thing they'd ever heard. That, I suddenly went from Shirley Bassey to Monkey D. Luffy in the audition. And thankfully they appreciated it, and they believed me and hired me anyway. So just a funny story.
That is hilarious. So you
Ridiculous.
were ridiculous but hilarious. So you were saying that it can be difficult to portray in male characters in doing different vocal ranges and doing the voices, but this may be in a different scale. How were there really any roles that were difficult for you to play, or maybe even you were not so sure about the character? You read over the description and went, "I'm not sure I can do this. Maybe you've got the wrong person." Did you ever have feelings like that?
I'm not sure. Sometimes that happens when I'm looking through audition sites. I might choose not to audition for a particular role. I tell people, though, for the most part, you should try everything. Try everything. Don't limit yourself before you've even tried. I did have a little bit of, not difficulty, but it was more challenging with Blaze, actually.
Really?
Yeah, because, and I think it really worked in my favor because it made her more dimensional than she could have been, more three-dimensional, because there were more than one person in the room. There was more than one person in the room giving me direction. That's a difficult thing to do. That happens a lot in the commercial world. If I'm doing a commercial voiceover, I may end up, especially if it's a demo, it's at the design, like the advertising studio. They have recording studios, and there might be like 12 people who worked on the campaign, and they're all giving you notes. You have to be able to take everything they're telling you, interpret it, consolidate it, and give them everything they're asking for back. So that happened with Blaze. I wasn't frustrated. It was more like, this is challenging. Like one person saying, "I need her to be like this," and another person saying, "I need this layer." And occasionally they conflicted, and I'd have to say, either ask for clarification or say, can I do both of these? Can this character feel both of these things? Can this character have, I'm not saying her in particular, but, ultra femininity and at the same time be spunky and asexual at times. You have to sort of take everything they're saying and, give them what they're asking for. And most of the time, it does make the character more three-dimensional. And occasionally, it's just, there are times when it's bad. There are times when the term "too many cooks in the kitchen" is actually true, and but you have to hold it together. You have to keep it together, and give them what they want.
You have to try and compromise without.
Yes.
You have to compromise to make the dish right without making it too sweet, too spicy, or too blah.
Exactly. Very, very good. Parallel there. It's
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, half of being an actor is pleasing your director. Giving them what they want. The vision of the show. It's not always about you. I mean, oftentimes it's not. It's really, you have to check your ego at the door every time you walk in.
I have heard that before.
And if you don't check your ego at the door, you're not going to work that much. That's
Nope.
the truth.
So, having to deal with the demands of directors with their vision might not be the same as yours, or maybe having fun like you had with that you have with Lisa Ortiz. Have there been any funny instances when you've been recording?
There's always funny instances. There's like every single day I'm in the booth, something, silly happens, or, we go too far, or you say something accidentally the wrong way. There's so many great stories over the years, trying to pull out like specific instances. Outtakes are always fun. I'm the queen of outtakes. It depends on who I'm working with. There's this guy, this engineer that was at 4Kids, who's now at 4K. He stayed. Joe Shallak, but everybody calls him Vegas. Joe Vegas.
Gosh.
Because he likes to gamble and he's just a lot of fun. But Joe is hilarious. Joe is constantly recording you. Even when you don't think you're being recorded, he's recording you. So if you, mess up and you're like, he'll take that and play it back immediately to you. And then every time you mess up during your session, you're going to hear yourself, and he'll play that for every other actor that comes in the booth when they mess up.
Oh, my
So
gosh.
it's like you become sort of, the Hall of Fame of mess-ups. And he, kind of plays it. And so, anyhow, I love working with Joe and Darren Dunstan on Yu-Gi-Oh! And I'm a different person with everyone. A different facet of my personality comes out with different people. And with them, I get a little crass sometimes because they enjoy it and I enjoy it, and we've known each other a really long time. So I'm kind of known to not really hold back. If I have something funny I want to say as a character, and they know that. But one time, this is terrible. I can't believe I'm telling this, but Joe's kids were off of school one day, and he brought them in the booth. And, I'm a mother. I'm around my children all the time. I have never cursed in front of them. I have never messed up because I can turn it on and off. But I forgot they were there.
Oh, no.
And I dropped the F-bomb.
Oh, my gosh.
Well, then I had to beg for forgiveness from Joe, and he really didn't care. But I felt so bad. I was like, oh, my gosh, I've scarred your children for life. And he's like, they've heard it before. Don't worry. But I don't know if that's a funny story. That's more of an embarrassing
It's
story.
funny.
Yeah, and I like to tell stories sometimes. Like if we're, if we have the time, I like to tell. They love to hear stories of the things of my mother and my child and stuff. I did tell a story once about my mother telling me I couldn't go to school because my pants were too tight, and they loved that story. And then I didn't realize he was recording it, and I was like,
Oh, no.
You could never play that for anyone. You could never play that for anyone. So a lot of the fun that I've had in the booth has to do with Joe Vegas and Darren Dunstan, but I have fun with everyone. I mean, you can't. There has to be some levity, even when you're getting burned alive in a video game. There has to be levity at certain points because it's fun. It's joyful, and you have to love what you're doing. You have to love working. And it just so happens that the work that I do is probably a little more fun than the average person's work.
That is so beautiful and incredible at the same time to hear. So,
I mean, if you end up doing this, you're so good at it.
Oh.
It's pretty fun, isn't it?
It is. It's a joy to be able to hear different actors tell their stories, to hear the relationships that they have with not only their directors, but fellow voice actors. Which brings me to another
Yeah.
question that you've partially answered, but we'll go on with it,
Sure.
How have you formed any close relationships with your fellow voice actors during a project or at a convention? You've said Lisa Ortez, who's director and also a voice actress, but are there any others that stick out to your mind who maybe have worked with you in the past or in the present?
I have a ridiculous amount of friends from working with people over the last 15, 16 years. I love Dan Green. He's a dear friend. Wayne Grayson is awesome. Mark Thompson, Greg Abbey. We love to work together, all of us. Eric Stewart, some other, female voice actresses. Casey Rogers is the biggest sweetheart in the world. And I think we both felt good about the fact that I was going to be taking over for her when she retired. She actually plays my grandma. She played my grandmother in as Astoria Rapunzel in Regal Academy.
Ooh.
So someone had to take over for her for that. But then I took over for Casey for Wobbuffet on Pokemon. And it was cool because I actually remember messaging her on Facebook and asking her a question about it, or two, and she was totally open to it, and she knew somebody was gonna take over, and she gave me her blessing, and it was cool. So yeah, I love Casey. She's oh my God, so sweet. And Allison Rosenfeld is not new, but newer in my world, and she is incredibly talented, very versatile, super sweet, super savvy, and also a stage and actor and a singer like myself. So we have that in common. And just maybe the last year or two, we've become friends, not just colleagues. And then people that I've met at conventions. I've met so many awesome people that I really hit it off with, immediately. Liesl Wilkerson, Jessica Calvello. She is a hoot and a half. She's a ridiculous amount of fun. So funny, so irreverent, so, oh my gosh, spontaneous. Just says whatever she wants, whenever she wants. Not ever in a hurtful way. Just not really worried about, what anybody's thinking about what she says. And it's a beautiful thing. And with that spirit that she has, also she exudes a lot of love and a lot of positive energy. And so I love her. And I met the Ayers brothers at a convention with Greg Ayers' good friend Gareth West, and the Greg and Gareth and I were inseparable the whole weekend.
That's awesome.
The three of us were a posse, and that was fun. And Chris was amazing too. So I mean, I don't know if I mentioned Darren. Yeah, I mentioned Darren Dustin. Tons of friends, and I really enjoy being part of the community. And I think that most people, 95% of the people that I work with are just beautiful people.
That's so adorable. So between those voice actors,
and you're welcome to ask about anyone specifically.
Oh, I wouldn't want to get the dirt on anybody.
Oh no, I would never give dirt. That's not me, not in my nature. But I can give the gold of the person.
The gold, I do like the gold.
Or maybe a quirk.
A quirk. What would be a quirk? Ooh, now I have a lot of friends.
Darren likes to say totes all the time in the booth. Totes. I mean, totally.
Oh my gosh, that's adorable. So let's see. He likes to say that. Now, what's another quirk of? Now, I have a couple of friends that are big fans of Eric Stewart. Now, do you know any quirks, about him that might, get a laugh?
Oh, Eric is funny. Oh my God, he is so funny because he likes to. I think some people don't understand when he's joking. He very often will become Kaiba, from Yu-Gi-Oh!
Uh-huh.
And Kaiba is so egotistical and so egocentric. Now, Eric has a very healthy self-esteem, but he's not a jerk like Kaiba. You know what I mean? He's just a really super confident guy, and it's really admirable. But when you first meet him, even when I first met him and started working with him, I thought of him as
Kaiba.
I don't know, I was a little intimidated by him at first. I was like, because he does exude such confidence, not cockiness, but just like totally 100% comfortable with himself in every way, which is such an amazing thing to be and exude, So no, Eric is hysterical because he sometimes will do an interview as Kaiba or act like Kaiba on the internet, and sometimes people might think, oh my gosh, like he's so full of himself, but he's just taking on the characters of his that people love, like James too, and he is hysterically funny in an interview. Oh my gosh. And he has the best outtake I've ever heard in my life.
Really? Can you spill?
There was, I can't tell you exactly what it was, but it was a promo.
Okay.
And it was like one of those things like WGMVTLP. It was like he was talking about some radio station that had like 20 initials in it. It was absurd. And he's really good, so he'll usually get something in one or two takes, but he could not get it. So it was like a series of outtakes of him trying to get it, and then at the very end of it, he was getting louder and louder and louder, and then he just started shouting it, and then he went, "Go bleep yourself," at the very end.
Oh my gosh.
Like, it was just one of the funniest outtakes I've ever heard in my life, because he was just like, how dare you ask me to say this thing that is just impossible to say. But he got it. Eventually.
Eventually.
Yeah.
So you've been to a decent amount of conventions from what I've seen, and you've been hanging out with your fellow voice actors, and I assume you've met quite a bit of fans. Your Facebook page is very popular with you meeting tons of people dressing up as your characters, especially Dark Magician Girl. So I gotta ask, what's the strangest gift you've received from a fan at a convention?
The strangest.
Or maybe sweetest if there's nothing strange or odd.
Oh, no. The probably the strangest gift, it was really quite funny and flattering. It was these two guys, and I only remember the one that gave it to me, but he had like a gent that was with him. I remember him because he was wearing a like really tight white unitard that was rather see-through.
Oh.
And and I was thinking, one must wear undergarments while wearing white see-through unitards. But anyhow, he was very funny, and he proposed to me with a ring from like a candy machine, like a vending machine.
Oh.
And his friend asked if he could video it. So I've always wondered if it was going to show up somewhere. I don't know, maybe it is somewhere, but it was a very funny proposal. I think he proposed to me like as a particular character of mine. I don't remember. And so he gave me a ring and put it on my finger. So that was a fun, quirky gift from a fan. And I always get like gorgeous artwork, and I'm so amazed at the effort and the time and the love that some of the fans, the time they take to make these things, and then to try and figure out how to get it to me, and I'm always humbled by that, and just so flattered, and it just gives me a
warm, fuzzy feeling.
Cool feeling. Yeah.
So, would you consider that maybe, I guess, a cute thing, maybe even a good luck charm? Like, do you have any good luck charms that you take with you, or even rituals when you go into the booth? Like, is there anything maybe that you've gotten from your family that you treasure to have in the booth when you do a character?
A lot of people have things like that, I think. I think a lot of people have something, or something they want to bring with them, or something they do right before. I don't really have anything in terms of a ritual or anything that I always do. For stage performances, I will tell you, I do have a ritual, and that is I must have chamomile tea with honey in it.
Oh, that's sweet.
As I warm up. I need that. As far as like rituals in the booth, I like to be physical. Like, I like to, so if it's a ritual that my character's punching someone or my character's being knocked out or whatever, I am as physical as I possibly can, emulate what's going on the screen, or, and it's funny because you can't wear noisy clothing. You have to wear, cotton. There's certain things that you might wear in the booth, like a necklace or bangly, bangle bracelets or a leather jacket that you're like, why did I wear this today? Or something with a zipper on it. And you learn pretty quick, if you're going to be one of those people who's moving around a lot in the booth, that you have to be wearing like 100% cotton all over the place. My ritual, I guess I would say, is kind of just being physical, taking on the physical life of the character, because it informs me.
That is awesome. I could totally visualize you doing that. Just, give it
Mark Thompson does that too. Like, he is the most notorious for it. Like, he is hysterically funny to watch.
Between the two of you, who do you think puts up a better fight for the characters?
I don't know. Mark is pretty committed. Like, he, Lisa actually was directing some zombie project that we both, I played all the female zombies and he played all the male zombies who had auditioned for it, for a amusement park ride somewhere in Las Vegas. And I'm like, I have got to go to Vegas again just so I can get on this zombie amusement park ride somewhere in some, building somewhere. But no, he's notorious for that too, in a good way, of course.
Good way, of course.
Yeah.
So, I have one more little thing for you, or should I say major thing?
Of course, yeah. I have plenty of time. I don't have a hard out today.
Okay, that's good. No.
Need a few more minutes, we can do that.
All right. You've mentioned Lisa Ortiz, you've mentioned Wayne Grayson, you've mentioned Eric Stewart, and you've mentioned Dan Green, among many other people that are a part of this grand project. What can you tell us about Crossing the Gods?
Ooh, I can tell you a few things. I can tell you like a little bit about my character. Obviously, I can't tell you any plot points.
Oh, darn.
But I definitely can talk about it. Dan did give me permission to talk about it.
That is awesome.
I thought it might come up in the interview today. And the first thing is, it stands for Guardians of Dimensional Stability.
Ooh.
I am not one of them.
You're not?
I think I mentioned earlier that Emma Frost was morally ambiguous. Also, my character of Delmanea is also morally ambiguous.
Ooh.
She has a difficult history. What's amazing is all these characters have like super intricate history, just like a successful anime would, or like a successful universe like Marvel or DC. Dan has written this in every detail you can imagine is available to us, which is amazing because that is not always the case. So these characters are extremely complex, extremely layered, and therefore very exciting to play. But my character's real name is Serafima Vasilyev, and she's from the Soviet Union, and she's from Russia. And what can I tell you about her? Well, I think first I should say, I definitely was the first one to record. I'm not finished yet. I have another session in a week or two. But I think maybe a couple people have recorded since I did, so it was exciting, he and I, to discover the script the first time together. And I'm just trying to think of what I can tell you about her. She's trying to, basically she has, many objectives, many, bigger story arcs and desires, but she's trying to find out, if an extremely powerful device rumored to exist is actually real, and if so, where it is. And so a lot of the crux and a lot of the drama and a lot of the conflict within it is about that. Not just for her, but for every character. And what she wants with it, is a complete mystery. And I don't know if it will be revealed in it or not, but yeah. And also, I can tell you this: it's going to be released episodically. I don't know how many episodes it will end up being broken down into, but it's about 100-minute piece.
Wow.
And yeah, it's amazing. I mean, I read every character's description, which was lengthy and detailed. And then I got to read about the whole universe, and then I got to read the entire script first. And I know that seems like, oh yeah, but it's actually unique. You don't always get all of that information. You don't always get to like delve that deep and to understand everything. Thankfully, this is a prelay, meaning we're recording it first and then they're doing that after. But I'm trying to describe the style of it. But everyone should definitely go to the Facebook page and check it out and watch the trailer because that will give you, a better idea. But it's an illustrated audio drama, so it's not an animation, and it's not, a podcast either. It's like a radio play with, images to help facilitate. So it's not even a stop motion comic. It's something very unique, and it might be the, one of a kind at this point. What they're doing with it, and Dan is actually drawing everything himself, which is incredible. I don't even know how he's doing all of that, and finding all the time, but he is, and thus far the work that he's done on it is pretty incredible. But she has special powers, I can tell you that. She has different forms of telekinesis. She can create fire. She can intrude people's minds.
Ooh.
Yeah, and she can burrow into their worst fears, and that's one of her strongest powers. It's
I'm getting shivers.
Power, but she's very manipulative, and she loves to expose people's weaknesses and then get them that way. So yeah, it's pretty dark. It's pretty dark, and it's similar to working in a superhero's journey story. I can liken it to that. So, yeah, that's one of the things that I've been working on that I'm really excited about.
I'm completely hooked. I've watched the trailer more times than I can count. And you
cool.
telling us about your character.
Yeah, and I get scenes with everybody. I think I have a scene with at least every single character. I think my character has more of a relationship with Erica Stewart's character.
Ooh.
We're closely linked in a certain way. Blacksmith. And then I do also have, my son is Jason Griffith.
Ooh.
He plays Ike's, my son. So I have, there's, a lot of, I don't want to say too much, but
of course.
The relationship is interesting. But, but I do get to have scenes with everybody. I get to have a scene with Praying Mantis, Lisa Ortiz's character. Who I find that character fascinating. I want things for her. When you discover her story, you will want things for her. But yeah, there's a lot of amazing. But what's interesting is I know all of these actors like really, really, really well, except for Tara Sands.
Really?
Somehow the universe never brought us together. Isn't that crazy?
I guess it was waiting until now for this amazing project.
Yeah, we've worked on so many things together, but we never crossed physical path, which is insane to me. But she left, to go to LA earlier than others. But yeah, I actually don't really know her. I just know of her and how much everybody loves her and stuff.
So I have to ask one little minor question about this. What was your initial reaction, if you don't mind sharing, when Dan Green or Eric Stewart or anybody brought this up to you saying, would you be a part of this project? What was your initial thoughts?
Hell yeah.
That works.
I was excited. I was screaming internally. Yes. No, it was like, what a great opportunity to work with people you love, and that it's really funny because it's like, there's like character morphs within them, like Jason and I are going to have this completely different relationship in this, and we're like Sonic and Blaze, Luffy and Usopp, when Lisa and I are together, it's like we're Praying Mantis and Dalmanea, but we're also Blaze and Amy and Luffy and Chopper, and I'm just trying to think, Eric, it's like Kaiba and Mai.
That's scary.
Yeah, we all have so many amazing character overlaps and specific relationships in other things. Like I think Dan and Greg have both played my husband many times, like an insane amount of times. But yeah, we have a lot of history together, and it's not like a theater where you get to know people immediately right away in a kind of intense way. because we worked together over a long period of time, crossing paths here and there. We weren't always working on prelays together where you're in the booth together. When we worked on Turtles and things like that and Viva Pinata, yes, you work with other actors in the booth, and so you get to experience that. You have that camaraderie. But otherwise, it just happened with, like, parties they would throw every once in a while. Oh my gosh, you play that character? How cool. Or passing each other in the hallway, or one of them ends up directing you, or so we all kind of met each other and developed our friendships and relationships over a longer period of time, and in a way that's kind of cool because you don't burn out too fast. Some people, when they get too intense too soon, they kind of burn out. But all of us have maintained. Not everybody. I'm sure there's some conflict here and there, but most everybody really likes everyone and enjoys each other's company, and especially this group of people. We all respect each other and care about each other very much. I don't get to see Veronica much because she's on the West Coast, and I always loved running into her, so I miss that. But occasionally I'll see her at a convention, and that's always nice.
That is so precious, and you have been so amazing to share all of this with us, Erica. Thank you so much again.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you so much for having me, and I wish you the best of luck. You're such a great communicator. Everybody has to know, what an amazing communicator you have been via email with me.
Thank you for responding back.
Yeah.
So I have to maybe ask one tiny little thing. I know I've been doing that, and I'm probably annoying you.
No, it's okay.
Would you mind doing that little voice drop we talked about earlier?
Oh, sure. Yeah. How many do you want? More than one?
Whatever you're willing to give me. You have been amazing, and I am to your whim. Whatever you'd like to do, Erica.
Okay. All right. Let me try one or two. Do you want the Bella Hudson in there as well, or just Erica Schroeder?
Oh, why not both? Why not?
Maybe I'll throw it in one of those. Okay, let's try it. Here we go. This is Erica Schroeder, a.k.a. Bella Hudson, voice of Emma Frost, and you're listening to 89.5 The Wave. I try to do it like a radio DJ for you.
I like that. That was smooth and spunky at the same time.
All right, let me try one with Blaze, maybe. Does that sound good?
Yep, that sounds good to me.
Okay. All right. This is Erica Schroeder, voice of Blaze the Cat, and you're listening to 89.5 The Wave. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that was adorable, Erica. Thank you.
That was totally cheesy. I hope everybody loves it.
Oh, cheesy's what we are around here. We can be a little cheesy, but I mean, what DJ isn't? Thank you so much again, Erica, for taking the time out of your very busy schedule. We've been working on this for a little while now to get this out to you.
Over a month, right, with our schedules.
Schedule
you're
conflicts.
Welcome. Thanks for having me, and all the best of luck to everyone there.
Thank you very much, Erica. You have been awesome and amazing, and this will definitely go up, and I will be tagging out both your social medias because, seriously, if you can, talk to this woman on her social medias. She is awesome. She is adorable, and she is an amazing voice actress and an amazing person. So thank you, Erica.
Oh, thank you, Anna. Thank you so much. Take care.
You too, Erica. Thank you.